Ngifundile guys lama notes.
Sizamile.
Okay. Namhlanje sizokwenza activity 8.10 question book. So ngiyacela ukuthi nihlale nama question enu eduzane. Okay, so ngaphambi kokuthi senze le activity engikhuluma ngayo, ngicela ukuthi ngiye to lama notes akho. Remember ukuthi yesterday sazi ukuthi nini, but ngasho ukuthi i-revaluation model unama-methods awu-2. We have i-gross method and we have i-net method. So namhlanje sifunda nge-net method. So kwi-net method, remember ngithena sifuna ukuthola ukuthi after we have used i-assets lethu for a period of more than 2 years or 3 years, but nanoma yiphi period, but once sesilisebenzisile at least for 1 year or 2 years, lizobe seline-fair value engakanani. So after a certain period of time sokusebenzisa i-assets sesingakhona ukudayisa ngamalini. So we want to know the fair value of assets in future. So once I told a low fair value, we then check whether we've made revaluation surplus and revaluation expense. So revaluation model, again, when an asset is measured in terms of revaluation model, the carrying amount of assets, ibala ngokuthi sithi fair value and date of revaluation less accumulated depreciation less accumulated impairment losses. So nakhona kwi-revaluation model ezesikhathi sihamba, you will come across i-depreciation nama-impairment losses abalwa the very same way njengoba besenza ku-cost model. In-net method-ke bafethu, it requires you to know calculator in HCA nani ne-ACA. If you don't know the difference between a historical carrying amount and an actual carrying amount, angeke uze understand almost everything. So mina nganifundisa-ke lokho angithi historical carrying amount, i-carrying amount esiyibala taking into account ama-depreciation kuphela. Okusho ukuthi sithatha sengathi assets awukaze libe impaired. Ibala kanjani? Sithi cost minus depreciation. And remember ukuthi when an asset masibala depreciation, sibala using the straight line method, depreciation ayishintsha. So a historical carrying amount also be carrying amount is minus depreciation kuphela. If the cost price is 80,000 and the depreciation for nyaka oqala is 20,000, our carrying amount in the first year will be 60,000, the following year it's 40,000, the following year it's 20,000. Kuze kube ukuthi iyaphela nje nya kusala udeshe ekugcineni in carrying amount. So that's a historical carrying amount. Then an actual carrying amount now, sisibheke ukuthi i-assets linani, line-impairment loss angithi. So an actual carrying amount will be cost less depreciation less impairment loss. So remember ukuthi once assets laba impaired, i-depreciation iyashintsha. And ukushintsha kwayo kusuke isinciphile kunale depreciation ebesikade sinayo last time before si-impair i-assets lethu. So ukuze uzokwazi ukuyi-understanda better, kumele uqale u-understand umehluko between your historical carrying amount and your actual carrying amount of an asset. If ungak-understandanga, angeke uzo-understand into ozoyenza. Another thing, there are a lot of formulas here. So uzokwazi ukuthi wazi ama-formula, you need to practice a lot. Angeke ngize ngisho futhi ukuthi uyawazi, maybe bakhona abazokwazi kwakrema, but ngisho ngokupractice noma kangaki. Kumele uhlezi wabekelayo ikhumbuzo ukuthi kombe uma kuwukuthi nokuthi kusuke kwenzeka kanje kanje kanje. Indlela amaningi ngayo ama-formula and akulula ukuthi uwabambe, but the moment you practice mhlawumbe uzo-end up uwabamba. So ilokho engisafuna ukuqale ngikuchaze. Again, remember I told you ukuthi kubalulekile futhi ukubheka ukuthi i-fair value inikezwe at the beginning or at the end. So if you're given a fair value at the beginning, kusho ukuthi uzoqala urevaluate assets before ubali depreciation. But if kuguti, if a value uyinikezwe at the end of the year, shuthi uzoqala ubali depreciation before urevaluate asset. Mang it's before revaluate, I mean checking whether we've made a revaluation surplus or a revaluation expense. Okay, so yona lento bengichaza lapha. Then remember what's depreciation after revaluation sibala using fair value as any cost price it. You shouldn't forget that. Yeah. Okay, asingeneni kuyona ke next method. Indlela ebengifunda ngayo le, so angazi noma izon assista yini. But mina bengizibekela ama steps ukuthi so that ngeke ngize ngibe confused noma ngifune ama mistakes. So a question would say yenza ama journal entries. Sicela sivulu 8.10 on your credit question. For those abanama PDF angazi usomisa kanjani. I don't have a PDF year graded question on my laptop. Anginayo at all actually. So ngifuna ukwenza example ngo activity 8.10 in your credit question. Okay, 8.10 ufundeka kanje. I don't know the name of that company, but they're telling us it purchased or planned on 2 January 2001. It's a cost of 80,000. The plant is measured under a revaluation model using a net replacement value method, net method, and is depreciated on a straight line basis over its estimated useful life of 5 years. There is no residual value. Then we're given a fair value out 3. A fair value on 1 January 2002, 1 January 2003, and 1 January 2004. It's 96,000, the first fair value 40,000, and again 40,000. This company transfers a portion of the revaluation surplus to retained earnings on an annual basis. There were no indications of impairment at the end of any of the years. You are required to show all related journal entries for the years ended 31 December 20x2, 20x3, and 20x4. I'm not sure, Noma, no getting one only questioning but it's question 8.10. So, lana tiwa asenzeni ama journal entries. Sisebenzisa ini net method. Now I'm a fair value out dress nigezio. Neyango 2002, neyango 2003, neyango 2004. So lana sniggers ama fair value at the beginning of the year. So njengoba sniggers ama fair value at the beginning of the year, shuthi unyaka nonyaka sizoqala ngokurevaluator before sibali depreciation. Yento lengizamkade uyichaza la. Wonke umuntu ayibona question, sicela nivule. Khona ongayibona question because angifuna ukukhuluma kakhulu kanti angiyiboni nanento engikhuluma ngayo. Niyayibona i-question na?
Yes, siyayibona.
Ngike ngayenza before with your tutors or Mr. Lom.
No.
Okay. So bengisacela ukuthi siyenze while ngibheka lama rules engasho. So I'm saying for your journal entries to be correct and complete for a first year of revaluation of an asset, you should know the following steps. Indlela mina ngi-understanda ngayo, angazi noma izongisiza yini. Ngivele ngithi okay, for if siqala ukurevaluate assets noma if sisebenza nge-fair value yokuqala, lezi zinto zo-4 kumele ngenze sure ukuthi ngizenzile. Nangonyaka olandelayo futhi kumele kube kanjalo, depending ukuthi i-revaluation surplus transfer kanjani. Okay. So steps of CAL, before we reevaluate an asset, we must question for a general, okay, steps of CAL, before we reevaluate an asset, we must first set off the accumulated depreciation of an asset. Debit accumulated depreciation, credit assets at cost. Buffett. The assets uthenge ngo-80,000 angithi shuthi ngasiqale nje ekuqaleni ama-journal entries wethu. Don't know if I should write. Okay, ake sithi ngisiqala ama-journal entries wethu kusukela ngo-20x1. Ngo-20x1 i-journal entries, okay, 20x1 journal entries. X1 journal entries, i-journal entry yokuqala izothi your debit plant, I mean this debit is to plant or your assets. Taking 80,000 and credit to bank. Now what's the assets? 80,000. Your narration is acquisition of an asset. Guys, if on the marginal entries, remember you should always include your dates, because the account debited and account credited, whether it's an asset or a liability or equity, any can be asset, it can be a liability, it can be equity, it can be an expense, it could be an income. So when you cast amount, and also your narration each general entry. So in this case, we purchased an asset. Your narration will be acquisition of an asset. You should know this so that next year you can. Okay, so each general entry of layer here for 20x1. We've acquired an asset. Learning validity date 1 to January 2009. We purchased an asset. Then masak pelunyak. Depreciation. How much will be our depreciation?
16,000.
16,000. We have a depreciation of
80,000 divided by 5.
Okay, so remember it's assets hitting a cost price of 80,000. We've got no residual value and these for life year 5 years. So it's 80,000 divided by 5, then you got a depreciation of 16,000. So you credit your accumulated depreciation, which is a negative asset, of 16,000. We are barefoot na corner depreciation for the year generation, guys. Depreciation for the year. I shouldn't be writing the narrations because okay, so you're not telling the 20x1 year. We're not given any. We call this February. Then go 2002. In 2002, we were given a fair value, Yamalin 96,000, right? We were given a fair value, 96,000. So if that's the rule, before we reevaluate an asset, we must first set off your accumulated depreciation of an asset. This is the debit accumulated depreciation and credit assets at cost. So in 2002, in a fair value on 1 January 2002. So on 1 January 2002, we reevaluated an asset that told in a fair value 96,000. It's in the net method. What if we first check whether we've made a revaluation surplus or a revaluation expense, we should start by setting off in the accumulated depreciation. Imali in accumulated depreciation is 2002. How much is our accumulated depreciation in 2002? Ekugqaleni konyaka?
16,000.
Awuzwakali yazi?
16,000.
We should start by setting off our accumulated depreciation of 16,000. I hope everybody will understand. So last year, and it's accumulated depreciation, I'm at depreciation, I said low. So we only have one depreciation, which is the 16,000. So before we reevaluate the assets like in 2002, before all the revaluation surplus and revaluation expense, make sure that you start by setting off your accumulated depreciation. So the only accumulated depreciation that we have here is 16,000 being a depreciation the last year. So it's in the generation yakho la. So you should know then kade ngiyenza ngaphezulu bengisetha off the accumulated depreciation before the revaluated plant yami. Okay, so now let's check here ukuthi senze ini. So we've already covered the first step. Sesisethofile accumulated depreciation ye assets. So it's in steps speed. For a first revaluation of an asset, we're expecting two things: a revaluation surplus or a revaluation expense. So with your first fair value, whenever you're working with your first fair value, it's either a revaluation surplus norma a revaluation expense. The revaluation surplus in the if fair value includes the carrying amount, the revaluation expense will happen if the carrying amount includes the fair value. So the carrying amount is from 2002 in how much? Assets lesi sihleli imalini ngo-2002. Ngicela carrying amount mo. How much is our carrying amount, guys?
80,000.
Ungipindela? Ngicela carrying amount 1. Ngicela carrying amount 2. Ngafika 5 ngingashilo, okay? Guys, the carrying amount is 64,000. $80,000 minus 16. And so was while carrying amount, I'm so disappointed. Our carrying amount in 2002 is 64,000. Our fair value 96,000. Nani lapha? What do we have? What am I debiting?
Surplus.
We done something that that's 93 surplus.
Revaluation surplus.
Okay, we have a revaluation surplus. Do we credit or debit the revaluation surplus? Is it credited or debited? Okay, revaluation surplus is credited income or equity. We credit our revaluation surplus ngamalini. How much?
2,000.
Money?
32,000.
32,000. Okay, guys, this font I'm using u-3 ababonakali ukuthi u-3 32,000. Then what are we debiting? We credit the revaluation surplus, then yini soyifaka on the debit side. Okay, we debit plant and credit the revaluation surplus. Nayo debita 32,000. So that was the second step. Then if that step is in, a revaluation surplus is then transferred to retained earnings if this total goods is scenario in step 2. How do we transfer it? It depends on the question whether it is transferred as the asset is used or when the asset is retired or disposed. Remember, guys, that's enough. If a revaluation surplus is transferred as the asset is used, it means every year kuzomele sithathe a certain portion transfer we retain earnings using a remaining useful life. Uma kuwukuthi transfer if the asset has been retired. Noma if asset retired, suke fully depreciated. Sithatha wonke ama-revaluation surplus esike saba nawo siwa-add si-transfer once. Same thing ngokuthi assets dispose ngalelo langa dispose ngayo sithatha wonke ama-revaluation surplus esike saba nawo si-transfer ku-retained earnings as a sum once. So kule question, i-revaluation surplus is transferred to retained earnings on an annual basis. In this case, abasipecifyanga ukuthi as the asset is used or as the asset is retired, disposed. So they didn't use amagama lawa ewu-3, but they told you ukuthi bayilokhunja annually. Kula malokhunjana owu-3, iyiphi la unyaka nonyaka si-transfer khona? Ilaphayana ngithi when as the asset is used. Shooting mabethi i-revaluation surplus is transferred to retained earnings annually. Kumele sisebenzise ini i-remaining useful life mase si-transfer. Futhi kule revaluation surplus ka-32,000, we will only transfer a portion using a remaining useful life. So izothini narration yakho la? Si-revaluate i-plant sathola ukuthi sine-revaluation surplus ka-32,000. So it's revaluation of plant in narration yakho la. Then sesiya ku-step 3. Now we have to transfer the revaluation surplus over scenario. Put your revaluation surplus is transferred annually. I'm saying if a revaluation surplus is transferred to retained earnings annually, they start to scoop the revaluation surplus, it's divided or remaining useful life. So the return we debit our revaluation surplus and credits for retained earnings. So team 32,000. How many years are remaining? 2002. And angazi yazi noma i-network yami kodwa ngikuza ukukhuluma kancane. How many years are remaining ngo-20x2? Phela guys ngeke ngikhulume ngedwa. How many years?
kusale 4 years.
So there are 4 years that are remaining. Malini gets transferred to retained earnings.
8,000.
8,000. So in narration yakho la izothini izothi transfer of revaluation surplus to retained earnings. Your debit revaluation surplus 32,000 divided by 4 years remaining to 8,000. Then you debit 8,000 and credit 8,000. The account credited will be retained earnings. Your narration is transfer of revaluation surplus to retained earnings. This is the narration. Then the last step. This is transferring the revaluation surplus. So the last step is saying we should now calculate the depreciation using the fair value is our cost price. So now we have to determine the depreciation at the end of 2002. Now the revaluation surplus transfers at Truth la 1 January 2002 we set off it accumulated depreciation before revaluation. Shall revaluate assets and total goods is revaluation surplus 32,000. Then at the end of the year, 31 December 2022, we transferred our revaluation surplus to retained earnings. Assets calculated depreciation. So now let's calculate depreciation. Depreciation. How much will be our depreciation now? Because it's revaluating assets.
It's about 24,000.
Ithole kanjani?
96,000 divided by 4.
Okay, so now the depreciation yethu, this is rebala using a fair value. So our fair value was 96,000, and we have a nil residual value. It's 96,000 minus 0 divided by 4 years remaining. Then so this is total depreciation at 24,000. You debit your depreciation for 24,000 and credit to accumulated depreciation for 24,000 again. So your your narration will be the depreciation for the year. So guys, whenever you're working with the first fair value, you have to follow the following. Number steps now are 4. In the show, you are set offer. Then once you set off depreciation, accumulated depreciation, when done, we will revaluate the assets. If we revaluate, we shall go to when the revaluation surplus, no, when the revaluation expense. Then when the revaluation surplus, they would actual to transfer. If we say transfer, we are able to transfer and in this case, let's say as you transfer annually, we should must get the civil revaluation surplus is transfer. You transfer using what? A remaining useful life. Then, you should always make sure you calculate your depreciation using the fair value now as your cost price. Now you put if fair value now say we want to see cost price up, you divide by remaining years. We exclude the residual value now what's being called. This is all out. Okay, my new depreciation is this amount. Whenever you're working with the first fair value, make sure what is into that was about 4. Ungalenzi put a lot transfer revaluation expense and transfer revaluation expense. So would be we revaluation expense let's say transfer. It is not transferred. So it's either revaluation surplus, noma revaluation expense. Khona onombuzo.
Yes, ngikhona.
Ngilalele.
Sacela ukubuza ngidideka la kwi-depreciation indlela si-calculate ngayo la ekugcineni.
Okay.
Okay. Ngithi uthena sizosebenzisa i-fair value as i-cost yethu.
Yes,
Angithi depreciation siyibala sewuphelile lo nyaka ka-20x2.
yes, 31 December 20x2.
Shuthi sisalele iminyaka bengicabanga ukuthi sisalele iminyaka ewu-3.
Okay,
Angithi ithengwe last year
yeah,
waphela lo wanyaka 2001 waphinda futhi njengamanje senza thina ngo-2002 ngokuphela ka-2002 shuthi bengicabanga ukuthi iminyaka shuthi siwu-2 esidlulile.
okay. Indlela ababala ngayo ama-remaining years ka-accounting. Bathi ena 2002, like bayawubala u-2002 kuma-remaining years. Angithi ngo-20x1 sithi ama-remaining years of 5 years. Yabo ukuthi bawufakile u-2001 sithe 80,000 divided by 5 so total depreciation of 16,000. So indlela abenze ngayo, indlela abathi asibale ngayo, bathi asiwufake nalo mnyaka esiwubona kuma-remaining years. Angazi noma uyangithola yini.
Yeah, ngiyakuzwa.
Yes. Khona omunye onombuzo. Ingakhohlwa ama-narration. Okay, can ask.
Mase sibeka kulo nyaka lo 2003. Nakhona do we need to set off depreciation futhi?
Angikuzwa yazi.
Ukuthi masifika ku-2003 sizoyisetha off nakhona i-depreciation ngoba siyayeka siyenza kanye.
Yabona nje before u-revaluate asset because if bekunikeza i-fair value yesibili bakutshela ukuthi uya-revaluate futhi uzohlezi nje usetha off before usho ukuthi uthole i-revaluation surplus or i-revaluation expense. So whenever before nje uqale you have to start by setting off. This year ngo-2002 sibe ne-depreciation ya-24,000 nangithi shuthi ngo-2003 before u-check-e whether siphinde saba ne-revaluation surplus or i-expense uzoqala uset off lo 24,000. Unyaka nonyaka uyasetha off if uzo-revaluate i-asset. Khona omunye onombuzo? So guys, lama-steps lawo ngiyasho ukuthi kumele uwagade if you're working with i-fair value yokuqala. So if ususebenza nge-fair value yesibili noma yesithathu, yilana-ke ukuqala ukushuba khona-ke manje. I'm not saying lama-steps awafollow, uyawafollowa still, but now sekukhona o-ACA no-ACA. If an asset is revaluated for a second time or a third time, we might still get a revaluation surplus or a revaluation expense, but we can also get the other two, or revaluation surplus reversal, the revaluation income. Ngenxa yesikhathi sesibreaking, ngenxa yesikhathi angeke sisabala but ngizokhuluma nje ngalokho. Okay, so if i-asset lethu sesi-revaluate okwesibili noma okwesithathu, ngamanye amazwi if ususebenza nge-fair value yesibili noma yesithathu, there is a possibility yokuthi uphinde uthole i-revaluation surplus again. There is a possibility yokuthi uthole i-revaluation expense or uthole i-revaluation surplus reversal noma uthole i-revaluation income. Into okumele uyazi-ke la, i-revaluation surplus reversal iyadebitwa. Shuthi masiwenza i-general entry yakho, i-revaluation surplus reversal, you should make sure ukuthi it's on a debit side. I-revaluation income yakho it's credited. Kumele wenze sure ukuthi iba on a credit side. Enye into futhi, remember i-revaluation surplus ika-credit angithi i-revaluation expense ika-debit. So i-revaluation surplus kumele mawukuthi uyayithola on your second fair value or third fair value, kumele mawukuthi uthole i-revaluation surplus, wenze sure ukuthi i-revaluation surplus yakho ihamba ne-revaluation income. Angithi i-revaluation surplus ika-credit, i-revaluation income ika-credit, shuthi wena ukuze uzoba correct kumele umuntu ahambe nophathina wakhe. I-revaluation surplus is on a credit side, i-revaluation income is on the credit side. Okusho ukuthi ena, whenever you're working with your second or third fair value, if bewukade uthola i-revaluation surplus, ukuze ube correct shuthi u-revaluation surplus kumele ahambe ne-revaluation income. Into ebalulekile, awukwazi ukuba ne-revaluation income ungakaze ube nayo i-revaluation expense before. Futhi wena uma uthe uthi uyabala uthola ukuthi une-revaluation income, go back and check ukuthi ngike ngaba nayo yini i-revaluation expense. Uma ungakaze ube nayo i-revaluation expense shuthi wrong. I-revaluation surplus is credited, i-revaluation income is credited. Kumele kuhambisane. If uthola okukodwa between the two, kumele kube khona nalowo muntu abashiyana. I-revaluation surplus reversal is on the debit side. I-revaluation surplus reversal kumele ahambisane nobani? No-revaluation expense. Ngokowu-2 kuka-debit side. Shuthi akumele behlukane again. Uyibona kanjani i-revaluation surplus reversal? Uzoba ne-revaluation surplus reversal uma i-actual carrying amount yakho inkulu kune-historical carrying amount. Uzoba ne-revaluation income uma u-historical carrying amount emkhulu kunobani? Kuno-actual carrying amount. So wena masufike yesibili, ingase kumele wenze ithebula lakho khona-ke. Ubhale ama-historical carrying amounts wakho uze ufike ku-0. In this case, i-cost price 80,000, depreciation 20,000, 80,000 minus 20, 80,000 minus, 80,000 minus 20, 60, 60 minus 20, it's 40, 40 minus 20, it's 20, 20 minus 20. Uzofika ekugcineni la uthola khona u-0. Okay guys, sizonqamuka. Ngicela siqhubeke masibuye because le nto engichazayo yini.